Hello everyone. Welcome to another episode in the spiral wave section of the harmonic self. We're going to continue our exploration of opening the body. Now this is where we're not only opening the joints, but we're also opening the tissues of the body, the organs. We want to find space in those tissues, as unusual as that may sound, but we're just opening up space, and one way of looking at it is elasticating the body. Not seeing the body as a series of levers or mechanical structure, which it often is referred to, but seeing it as a soft tissue, a complete matrix throughout the whole body. We've talked about the fascial matrix, holding our bones floating in that fascia, rather than just seeing everything as bones and muscles. We're looking at a whole different element of the body. And we're just opening up these tissues so that the energy can flow through in a greater way. And we're doing that through bringing our mind into what we're doing. As simple as we saw with the neck exercise, just simply turning our head left and right, or right and left, nothing special in which way we start, but doing it unaware, I can get quite a lot of mobility, and that's pretty useful, but it's not Tai Chi or Qigong. What we're doing is we want our awareness to soak into that. And as I do that, I find it's a little tensioned, not tense, tensioned. I'm relaxed, but there's a little resistance, for want of a better word, much like you would have when you yawn, that kind of resistance, and like an elastic resistance. So my awareness goes into it, and then the tissues kind of pull or open a little bit. It gets to be quite pleasurable, actually. You begin to become aware of the tissues opening, and it becomes quite energizing. We worked with the shoulders as well. And remember, we focused more on the scapular movement, the scapula sliding up and down our shoulders, rather than the shoulders themselves. Now, we didn't roll forward, we just up and back and down, but feeling those scapular movement being sliding up and down the back of our body, up, and then coming a slight away from the rib cage, and then down, coming together. But again, soaking our awareness, like being really curious, letting our energy, our awareness, our intention, our mind go into this area. And then it becomes a different thing entirely. Feels even more smooth. Now, we're not grinding away, we're not forcing anything. This is the big key. We're not using force. We'll come back to this time and time again. What we're doing is just opening, and that opening really needs to be a gentle process. We're not coddling ourselves. I mean, it's work. It really is, but it's not forcing. We're not ripping anything apart. So we want to get our shoulders and our neck nice and energized, for want of a better word, open. So we're also opening the joints as well, but almost like as a consequence of softening or opening the tissues. We also talked about the Yao, Y-A-O area, and that as we circled, we were opening the distance between the pelvis and the lower ribs. And you can actually feel that. You don't have to have your hands here in any way, but the idea here, I'm at the back, now I'm opening up the side, now I'm opening up the front, and just stretching the inside. In Tai Chi Chuan and Qigong, we're opening from the inside out. We're not imposing an external exercise in this. So we did those three areas, and that was quite a bit. Another thing on the spine that, on the shoulders that we can do is something I think I've talked about before, the teacup exercise. We just pretend we have a teacup in our hand. Now you have to be careful with this. Be gentle. Don't force anything. And if you have a rotator cuff injury or something, you need to be very, very careful. Don't do anything that's going to injure yourself or cause you pain. That's not the idea. Sometimes a little achiness, or a little stretch, or a little effort, but not pain. That becomes a different thing. So we have the teacup in my hand. I should have brought a teacup in my hand. And what I do is I now push it or pull it or move it towards my armpit without dropping the tea. So I want to have that tea open, and then I'm passing it under my armpit and behind me. And again, just really feeling that openness. Well, let's just do the movement first. Then I'm bringing it around, keeping that teacup up. So at this point, I've got some considerable tension here, or tightness, not the tensioned thing I spoke about, but the tightness. It is tense. That is actually tense. As I come around here, I'm keeping that open. I want to be very conscious. I don't want to injure myself. I'm bringing it all the way around, coming back. Now I'm coming behind myself, coming around, still coming around, bringing it around, coming around and coming back to where I was. And as you can imagine, if you saw my hand, I've spilt all my tea. I mean, it was completely hopeless. But that's what we want to do. But so now we can do that either on the other hand, perhaps on the other hand, just to do it. But this time I want to put my intention and awareness in this whole shoulder area, the front of the shoulder, the scapula, the shoulder blades, and this whole area. And so immediately I put myself there. Then I also immediately feel a different quality of movement. So again, passing under my armpit to back, making sure my awareness is there the whole time so that I'm opening this area up. It becomes a different experience immediately. So now I can feel a little achiness, no pain, just achiness, kind of an ache, showing that it's just loosening up. I want to feel that tensioning so that it kind of opens up the tissues each time. And I want to feel that. Of course, I can feel it all the way through my body, to my feet actually, all the way through my back. But really the main focus is here. I come around. I'm really wanting to keep that hand level. Meet some resistance here again, but I want to bring my awareness into it. Open it up and come around. And here I am again. So do practice that. It gets to be more difficult, and when I have more space, I'll demonstrate it, when we actually do both hands together and come around. Well, got some things in the way here, but that's the idea, come around and all the way back. Now, it wasn't a very good effort, but just to let you know that really that's the way we do it. At the end is just that we move all the way around. But I do recommend you just start with one hand and really make it into an awareness exercise, just opening up, feeling the movement, having the palm up really kind of stretches the whole, spirals the whole mechanism, so that you can just open up all the tissues as you go back. Very, very nice. As you have your awareness there, it becomes a very pleasurable experience because you're essentially loving yourself. You really are bringing your love, your awareness, your consciousness into the body. And that's something we don't do. We tend to power through, almost ignoring the body as a wholeness and just moving that way. And we want to do everything we can to connect all of the body together, so that eventually, as you practice this, as you move your neck, you'll find your whole body will be responding. Let's move into the spine a little bit, because the same principle applies there. And what we're going to do is we're going to lean forward, hinge from the hips, and also at this point we're going to lock our knees. Now this is not something we do normally, but for the purpose of opening the tissues, we're going to do that. Remember, we're changing our body from the inside out. We're transforming our body into one that can be prepared for Tai Chi Chuan and for Qigong. This is often neglected. People don't prepare their body, and so they don't get the results that they're expecting. So we're just preparing the body for this, and we lock our knees so that they're straight. We then go forward from the hips, and some people that are flexible can just flopsy-doodle and just do a forward bend all the way down and touch their toes, which is great, but it's not what we're doing. We're not talking about flexibility and contortionism or some great yogis or whatever. We're opening the tissues. So very important you keep that in mind. The mobility, the flexibility will come along, but that's not our objective. Our objective is to open spaces in the body so that the energy can move through. And that is really good for our health. This is what we're doing. So we have this hip hinge here. I come forward. I have my hands in front. And maybe this is as far as I can go. You go, well, that's pretty pathetic. Don't judge yourself. That's as far as you can go. Great. You know what your starting point is. This is not a competition. The important thing is that as you do this, you feel my legs are locked. I'm beginning to feel the back of the hamstrings. I want my energy, my mind, my awareness, my intention to soak into the back, my tushy, my hamstrings, and also I begin to feel my lower back open up in a moment. So here I go. And that's the moment where I feel, just that moment there was suddenly, I get engaged. And I began to feel my whole back open up and the tissues start to part. Now, you can go further if you wish, as long as you're keeping in mind that you're not over stretching. If we had an elastic band and we stretched it too tight, then it's tight. You can feel it, right? It's too tight. It's like a string that's just, a guitar string that's just about to snap. It's so tight. And if I just relax it, then it becomes very flaccid. But if I have it just the right tensioning, that's the kind of quality we want. It's soft and flexible, but it's not collapsed. And that's really the quality we want. We want it tensioned. I think I mentioned one of our chefs at Prana cut a tendon in his thumb, and because of course our body is tensioned, we don't think of it this way. I go, oh, my thumb is very relaxed. The tendon just disappeared into his wrist. I mean, the complication was not reattaching the tendon, it was finding the tendon because it just had disappeared. So they had to open up his wrist to find the tendon, then reattach it. Everything is fine now, but it shows you that even though we like, oh, well, I'm very relaxed, we're actually tensioned. And you can kind of feel that. And I also think I mentioned the chest as well. When they cut open the chest, for a heart operation, they don't then pull open the chest. They cut open the chest and the chest goes boing, because it's tensioned. So we have all of this tensioning in our body, but sometimes when it becomes tense, it becomes restricted and it blocks energy and it becomes almost like a knot. And we are trying to just unwind and create that space so the energy can come through. Now, once we've gone down and we've opened up the back, And maybe you go forward as much as you want. Everybody's going to be different. Take your time. And as I said, just happy that you're even here, if that's going to open up the back. But if you can go down, as you come up, you're going to come up differently. You're going to come up through the center of your body. So you're going to imagine this spine, in front of the spine, opening up. So we're not pulling ourselves up from our back, right? Because that can really hurt us. We're opening from the center of our body up. And that creates a lift. So in a sense, we're opening, well, not in a sense, we're opening the tissues on the way down. And then as I come up, I'm opening the front of my body, in front of the spine, up, 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 so that I come up. And then I'm kind of more lifted. So as I went down there, I was down so much more than I was the first time, because my tissues are beginning to open up. So I have to go down further to open them up more. And so I think you'll gain flexibility very, very quickly, although there's no rush. When I say quickly, it could be weeks, but you'll be ahead of the game if you're just starting this out, because you'll be opening up to this great mobility. So you'll find you'll have more energy, but remember, as you go down, you want to feel that tensioning and then feel the energy, but soak in your mind into your body. We're bringing it down here to where it needs to go, and the body will respond and will actually love it. But don't strain and don't force. So finally, on the spine, we're going forward and backwards. As flexion is forwards, extension is back, but there's also lateral movement, which is like a lizard, and you can kind of put your hands behind your head, or you can have your hands up like this, and what you want to do is just move to the side. And I usually initiate actually from the elbow to just open up the side of the ribs, but also I'm going for the spine. So, but again, I want my mind in my spine as I move, so that the tissues around it begin to open, and I want to keep my feet flat on the ground. In this case, I've got my right arm raised, and I want to have my right foot pushing into the ground, so I get this yawning and feeling of opening. And then I come up straight again from the center of my body, up again, and then I go the other way. Again, no strain. This is something you can actually do seated if you wanted to. I'm having my hands kind of behind here, not in front here, but just up so that my body is opening up. And again, though, the important thing is that feeling my awareness goes into my back and that area. My feet are flat on the floor, shoulder width apart, and I come up. So that's lateral flexion and extension. Lateral to the side, like a lizard, I guess. That's what I think I said. Yeah, like a lizard. And now we are going to do rotation. So this is the third mobility. And here we can just, again, stand and just move, starting off from our lower part of our body, our lower back, our coccyx, if you will, the tailbone, and just move and move up the spine. Again, my awareness is on my spine. I'm just moving around. My feet are flat on the ground. I'm just moving. Now I'm in the middle of my back, now behind my heart, up my neck to the top of my head. Now I come back, I initiate through my head. Now behind my shoulders, behind my heart, middle of my back, coming back into my lower back and back again. So it's very simple, gentle movements, just rotating the spine and getting some rotation in the spine. So starting out, I start with my lower lower spine, and then I initiate through the lower spine and come up and end at the head. And on the way back, I start with the head and rotate back round again, so that I've got this length all through my body again. And if you just take a moment, you go, I feel pretty here. I'm pretty present, and I feel upright, feeling pretty good, even though I was talking my way through that. But again, the key is, yes, it's a good physical movement to turn. That's helpful, but it's not what we're doing. We're opening up the tissues. So as we move, that's when you're going to feel the energy benefits from all of this. So please practice, and feel free to email me anytime with any questions or anything that clarifications or your experiences. Be very, very happy to hear from you, or make a comment underneath the YouTube section. And thank you. And we'll now move on into the next episodes, into standing meditation, now that we've kind of prepared our body. But please practice this. You don't have to do it all in one session. You could just decide, okay, I'm just going to work, taking a break from my emails and stuff. I'm going to work on my neck, or I'm going to work on the shoulders, I'm going to work on the yow, I'm going to work on the spine. Don't overdo it. Just be gentle. Bring your awareness, your mind, let it soak into the tissues and open up, and let the joints open up. I'm sure you're going to feel a lot better, but please let me know. Bei Shan.